Yo, welcome to the Choppin It Up podcast featuring your boy Jordan.
What up? It's your boy Eric.
And we're back at it with another episode. Eric, what we got going on today, bro?
First of all, I just wanted to kind of just say sorry and apologize for not having an episode last week. There was just some circumstances that we couldn't record, but we're back.
We're back.
We're back with a review.
Yes, sir.
We're back with the review. I'm really excited about this album that we're reviewing about.
Yeah.
You weren't as excited as I was.
I wasn't.
But we're reviewing the new Tyler the Creator Igor album.
Yes.
And just wow.
Hey, man, it's an album that, of course, we're going to dive into, but let me just say that I am surprised by this album, and we'll explain why. But let's just start off by just Tyler Creator, as who he is. And this is Tyler Creator's 6th studio album.
Yep.
He's actually released an album every 2 years, which is pretty cool. But this is his 6th studio album, and he has been putting out music for years and years. And honestly, back in the high school days when he was really starting to come out, I wasn't really the biggest fan of his. I felt like his music was too dark. Too just like, sure. All right, bro, I'm not trying to be depressed today, so I'm gonna have to listen to you later. But do you think that he's starting to change a little bit?
I feel like he is really maturing in his sound. This is actually his 10-year anniversary for him putting out studio albums.
Yeah.
His first album came out in 2009, Bastard, and if you have been listening to Tyler Creator since then, you will have definitely noticed that his sound has evolved as he's matured, because definitely whenever his first album came out, he was really, really young. I don't remember exactly how young he was, but he was still kind of like a kid. So very angsty, very angry, had a lot of emotions that he didn't know how to exactly maybe verbally get out. And so it kind of just became these albums where it was just dark and angry and vulgar, and just there was even an interview where he says he writes to make old people mad. Old white people mad.
Oh,
and so,
I remember.
It's funny. And I also, I was on the same boat. I kind of I tried to listen to Tyler Creator at the beginning, but it was just,
it's tough, bro.
It tried. I think he was trying too hard to be edgy and dark and just push the boundaries of things too much. And it just kind of turned me off to that, because I was just like, this is just too try hard for me.
Yeah.
And
I think too, I just had a hard time. I have a friend of mine that is very, he's a big Tyler the Creator fan, and he will play his music a lot, while we're riding in the car or whatever and just going places. And I'm like, bro, why are you playing this depressing, dark, just no happiness type music? And I think I kind of had to realize that, look, artists, when they put out music, this is their way to really just cope with whatever's going on in their lives. And so I think with him, not having his father in his life, and really just not having that consistent love that a normal person could or should have, I think it's you can kind of see that in his music back then. He was struggling with just happiness. Yeah, big time.
I totally see that, and it's something that fatherless upbringing is something that reflects in a lot of his music. The lyrics, there's songs where he explicitly oh my gosh, I can't say it explicitly. Says says that how much he hates his father for not being there, how much it has messed him up, and how much he doesn't care and all this stuff. But it clearly has affected him in a really negative way, not having a dad in his life.
Yeah, it's big, man. It's huge.
And I can't imagine what that kind of upbringing must feel like. Not having that male role model in your life. So it sucks. But I do see that Tyler Creator, through the years, his albums have matured in a way where he's able to voice those things in a more mature way.
Okay, so let me ask you this: would you say that, like, until about 2017 when Flower Boy came out, do you feel like he was more happy with that album?
I feel like
you can start to see the shift. Like, okay, he's getting a little happy now.
I feel like it wasn't like a. I feel like he was finding joy in what he was doing since he started, kind of thing, because there's some interviews where he talks about how he didn't actually want to rap, that he was totally against this, but I can see where he's kind of allowed himself to be a little bit more transparent with himself and be very real. Once Flower Boy came out, I was just really shocked and surprised, just because of how beautiful and how melodic and how well it was written, and it didn't sound like a angsty teenager, and it kind of opened my eyes a little bit to, maybe I should go back and kind of listen to his older stuff and kind of be in that mindset of like kind of understanding where he was coming from a little bit more. And so like in previous records, like Cherry Bomb, right before Flower Boy, he kind of let that like melodic side come out a little bit in some of the tracks. And that's when people started noticing that, Tyler really has this knack when it comes to production to really write beautiful melodies, and write, really well. But Flower Boy came out and blew my mind. I know you haven't given that album that much of a listen. But,
I haven't, but I do remember just with a couple listens, just the change in emotion.
Yeah, the tone was just completely different.
Was just a different sound, something that I wasn't really expecting from Tyler, the Creator. Like I said, back in the past, especially like Goblin, like stuff like that. I was like, all right, bro, this is too much, and too deep. But then I remember like just some simple glimpse of him on Flower Boy, kind of really just kind of being more open about stuff, but also too just kind of having a different perspective on life. And just being more positive. And I definitely felt that even more with this album. And so I think for me, just that change was just like, okay, cool. Yeah, he's definitely been through a lot with the absence of his father, and just not kind of having that consistent love that you can get from your father, and whatever he's going through. But I think just that transition that I've noticed, okay, cool. Like, yeah, he went through this. Now we're starting to see, okay, Tyler's really just starting to put out amazing music that has a good message. And I think it just sounds much like, I don't want to say happy, because not all music is supposed to be happy, but you can kind of just see like where he was to where he is now.
Yeah, and like
and he's getting older too. And more mature.
So he's going through more life, and so I feel like that definitely affects your songwriting.
Yeah,
and I feel like for Flower Boy in this album definitely is that there was more of a consistent sound in them and a consistent tone overall. I felt like every time I listened to a Tyler album before, it was very kind of sporadic and kind of just like up and down and here and there, and like it wasn't really telling a story all the time. Now I'm not saying that he didn't do that with any of his previous albums. Like on the album Wolf, he does have a song on there where he talks about his dad, and it's all about his dad and how it has affected him and how it changed his outlook on certain things. And it's honestly a beautiful track, even as vulgar as it is in the the lyrics, but it's him kind of being more transparent with the listeners of like, this is how much my dad missing in my life has affected me.
Absolutely.
And so I think that played a role in the way that he kind of wrote Igor, because definitely when it comes to Igor, it's a completely different album from anything he's ever written.
Wow. Yeah, I can hear it. I can truly hear it. And I can tell just with his production. I mean, the production is amazing. And I believe that he produced the whole album, correct?
The whole album by himself.
That's awesome. I mean, for me, I have a lot of credit for that.
It's crazy because it's a #1 album. Like it hit Billboard
Billboard
#1.
Yeah.
And it's the
That's
first
awesome,
time
man.
a rapper has ever completely produced an album himself.
Yeah, I mean, the dude wrote, produced, like arranged the whole album, and you just don't see that like now.
No,
You just don't see that, and I think for that reason, that already made me like, okay, appreciate what he's doing, because that's when you know that he's just super creative, bro.
Yeah.
Like super creative, and you can just tell by the body of work, like, dude, this album is like really nice, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. And let's just jump into the album itself. So the initial like first listen, whenever the first track started playing, I was a little like, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I was kind of thrown off a little bit.
I was too,
because I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I was like, oh dang, are we reverting back to like old Goblin days, like the droning, like at the beginning? I was like, I don't know what to expect, honestly.
Nah, honestly, bro, this was what your reaction was. I bet you were like, dang, bro, Jordan about to fire me up.
Honestly,
yes. Cause I was like, all right, bro, I'm gonna do this album review.
He did not want to listen to it.
But I think for me, I didn't, but I wanted to give it a chance because I really,
for sure.
I'm trying to listen to new artists as well, and so even though Tyler's been out for a long time, but for me, as to listen to him, it was definitely new for me to listen to him, and so I was definitely like, just okay, let me just listen. But then I heard the first track, I'm like, boy, if you don't get your, but then it gets better and better and better and better.
So a couple of seconds into the track,
it's really like, all right, fam,
you get hit with this like kick drum and snare, like this really cool like drum kit.
There's a lot of force.
Sample that he got. And it's just, I was like, okay. I got hyped. And so Igor's theme was like super cool, and it was such a great way to kind of dive you into whatever the album's gonna sound like, because the whole album kind of had that like almost I don't want to say lo-fi production, but it's kind of, there's a lot of distortion here and there, but he does it in a way where it's not like amateurish.
Yeah. It felt like for me, this album really felt like for me just song by song, like an experiment.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like in a journey, going different places. Cause I think like, I guess my main thing lately has just been like, is this album telling me a story? Is it taking me somewhere? Because we've done previous reviews and we're like, yo, this album just doesn't have any guidance. It doesn't take me anywhere. It doesn't have a direction. And I feel like this album not completely has a direction, but I feel like it is taking me somewhere. But it's just going all over the place. But still, in a sense, I'm like kind of understanding where it's taking me because it's so different. Does that make sense? And so I kind of had that feeling like, okay, look, this is a new listen for me or a new artist for me, but it's taking me somewhere, man.
Yeah. For me, like the whole album as a whole, I feel like it was a story of, I don't know if it's Tyler's experience or somebody else's experience, but definitely of, losing in a relationship almost, kind of, of a failed relationship. And it's kind of cool because, even though the songs themselves sound different, you go through that emotion that, the initial, like, cupcake phase, with earfquake, and then you end up with the song, like, Are We Still Friends? Like, it takes you through that, the initial beginning of a relationship all the way to the end of, something that didn't work out. Yeah. Where like, dang, can I even be friends with this person anymore?
Yeah, I agree. And so, I think with my initial listen as well, just kind of going through the album, and I think I told you about this, but I'm like, I feel like he was singing more than he was rapping on this album.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I definitely feel like there wasn't a lot of bars.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of bars at all. And I think that's what I was expecting. I'm like, okay, where is his, like, 'cause I know he used a lot of different voices.
Yeah.
I know that he had, artists like Kanye on there, like Charlie Wilson. Like, he had a different array of artists, but I feel like it was more just like singing than rapping, because I barely heard any just like bars, like him rapping.
He had
which I found very interesting.
Yeah, like he, I think a lot of people were expecting that. They were expecting that Tyler, with these crazy bars, and to me, like, I just didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
You know, when he did that post about, like, you know, your first listen, don't have any expectations of,
I like that.
this is going to be this kind of album or this kind of album, or it's going to sound like my previous old album.
Yeah.
And it didn't. It didn't hit any of those previous albums. You know, you might see a little bit here and there of, like, the maybe the ideas, but not the sounds.
Yeah.
But talking about production, you know, a huge thing about this is that he wears his influences on his sleeve, hardcore on this. You know, from the influences from Pharrell Williams.
Oh, big time.
Like, it's
I can hear Pharrell a lot.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I can hear Pharrell a lot, big time. And I also saw that Kendrick really encouraged him. Kendrick Lamar really encouraged Tyler to just sing more. Like,
yeah.
Just sing, because we already know Kendrick can kind of go in different ways, but I can just tell he definitely took that as a thing that he definitely put into his music, was just to sing, man. Like, just do less bars.
Got out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, and that's, hey, man, I think, especially in this age now, man, like, it's okay to kind of go outside of your comfort zone and just do something different, as long as it sounds good. Like, it doesn't sound crazy or nothing. And so I think I felt that.
And he made it work, you know, and that's the thing. He himself has said in many different interviews and all that he just doesn't like his own voice. He doesn't like singing. He doesn't feel like he has a good voice, and he's kind of tired of, you know, because when you think of Tyler the Creator, you think of that really deep, you know, ominous rapping voice that he has on his tracks, and on this it's almost absent.
And it has a lot of different hints of jazz, funk, a little bit of pop, a little bit of gospel in it, and I just felt like it just was perfect. It wasn't nothing crazy, but it was just perfect for me because, like I said, I had really no expectations for this album. I'm like, Eric, bro, you better be right, bro. You better be fire, bro. But, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, bro. You definitely put me on and, like, gave me a chance to really just listen, because I just never really liked Tyler. And now I'm like, okay, cool. I think I'm really starting to enjoy, like, his music and what he's starting to put out. And this album definitely, like, just gave me a good feeling about what could come from Tyler, because, like I said, I just never listened to him.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Yeah, it felt good to kind of get a chance.
Yeah, like the different sounds on this album, it's a little everywhere.
It
like
is everywhere, but it's dope though.
You have like this vintage, like soul sound on some tracks where it literally sounds like something from like the 50s or something.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's dope though.
Yeah, you got like these crazy like pop sounding tracks. Then you do have one song where, you know, Tyler does kind of come in and he gives us a couple of bars on What's Good.
Oh yeah.
And I personally really like that song, and it got me a little hype when I heard it.
Yeah.
We're
like, oh.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Like it's cool to see the different like sounds that he's able to play with on this, and to me it shows how much he's maturing and allowing himself to, you know what, I don't have to just be this guy that says all these angsty things and makes these dark records. I can make an album like Igor where the cover art is pink and it's bright and like everything sounds bright.
And then like I've been seeing a lot of his, like, you know, when he's been doing like concerts and stuff, he's wearing like the wig and everything. Yeah. I'm like, Tyler he don't care, bro.
Like, he's out here.
He's doing him.
And I think that shows more of like himself than, you know, his previous works where he was just kind of saying whatever he wanted and, you know, just making these crazy raps. I think this is more Tyler the Creator than anything he's ever done.
I can see it. I can hear it.
It's so original. It's so out there. It's something that hasn't been done, honestly.
Yeah, he didn't fear anything, bro. He just went at it, put out good music, and I can definitely tell that he's in a point in his life, man, at 28 years old, still young, but at 28 years old, to where he's maturing, and you can kind of just see that he's starting to embrace love and just the positivity in his music. Because again, when I'm hearing this album over and over again, I feel like it was more upbeat than it was kind of like downbeat. Does that make sense?
For
like,
sure.
I feel like it was more just like, you know, just a feel good album that gave you different feels.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree that. Yeah. You know, whenever I first listened to it, like I had this just like feeling of like, I want to go back. Yeah. I want to go back and listen to it. I want to. It was an experience for me because the the first listen, I listened to it as soon as it dropped, and then I wasn't on social media, didn't do anything, was
social media
strictly listening to the album, and it was crazy. I felt like I was read a story almost.
Wow, yeah, that's cool, man. I think, like I said, man, I'm impressed. I was not expecting none of this at all. To be honest with you, not expecting none of this. I mean, I was a big fan of just the cover art, bro, on his singles, from just the way he puts together his stuff, the vinyls that he's been putting out, like just the cover art for that.
Cop the vinyl.
Yeah, and then is he touring soon or?
I think so. I think
okay.
I'm not entirely sure. I know
I'm sure you'll be there though.
He just did. Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
He just did that Beats one, I think, or was it iTunes sponsored event where he played the entire album.
What? That's dope. He's been doing pop-up tours too,
he's been like doing little pop-up tour or shows.
Yeah.
He tried to do one in London, but it didn't go over very well because like the fans were like freaking out because Tyler was actually banned from London and stuff because of his previous albums. And then the ban was lifted, and he went and he tried to do a show, and then the cops shut it down because the fans were just
going crazy. Oh, they hating on him, man.
So I was like,
they hating on the fans and Tyler, bro. But okay, so on the ratings, bro, what is your out of 10? What are you rating this album?
I give it a solid 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay. I give it an 8.5.
8.5?
I give it 8.5.
That's great.
Which is probably my best review on all of our reviews, I believe, so far. I might be tied with one of them, but I was impressed. I was seriously impressed. And I think 8.5 is just really like the beginning, just because more listens, the more I'm going to really like it and kind of enjoy more of it. But
what were some of your favorite tracks?
One was Running Out of Time. Running Out of Time was, bro, I was like, okay. And then I love those two tracks.
That arpeggio that has on Running Out of Time.
I love it. You know me, bro.
Crazy.
I'm all like super jazzy funk. Like I love the soul, and once I heard just the soulful vibes that this album gave me, I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm all for it. Like once you give me that vibe, bro, I'm all in. And I felt like he did that consistently. Of course, he had different sounds, but I felt like he was just very jazzy with this album, bro. And I just truly loved it, man. So 8.5 for me. I was impressed. Still am impressed. And hopefully, man, he just continues to put out good music, man. I'm sure he will. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Some of my favorite tracks was Earfquake, which features some vocals by Lil Uzi Vert.
Yeah.
Which was a secret. Another thing that I loved about this album is that he didn't give us like features.
Yeah, he didn't.
Which has a plus and a minus to it, because you don't really know who it is unless you kind of like dig. But the plus to me is that like you are gonna listen to the album because you're not gonna be like, oh, I see Kanye on that track, I'm just gonna listen to that one.
I like that. Just pay attention to the music, man.
So like Earfquake with that Lil Uzi Vert vocals on it is just like such a good ballad. And it's so nice, and like it's always a song that I keep playing back and back. And then the way it transitions into I think is the to me, as soon as I heard it, it was like, yo, is this a Kanye West song?
Yeah.
It sounded like, to me, I don't know why.
I heard Kanye was on the album too.
He was. Yeah. He's on Puppet.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And on I think, it to me it sounded like Stronger. I don't know if you
I noticed that. Yeah.
I know that that's a Daft Punk like sample that he has on there that Kanye has on Stronger, but to me, like just the way that the song was kind of flowing in the beat and the tempo, and it all sounded like a Kanye West song. I was like, this is the most Kanye West song that has never been a Kanye West song.
Yeah. You can't get no more Kanye West than
and I don't know. I really loved that song. And then A Boy Is a Gun.
Boy is a gun.
Oh my gosh. To me, like, so of course the vocals aren't great.
No, but I mean, you don't really
works,
expect it
though,
to be.
But it works. And that's what like is to me is so good, is that even if the vocals aren't like this like perfect pitched, vocals, like it just works. The kind of like the way that he uses a metaphor of like what a gun is. Yeah. And the wordplay with that.
It's a gun. Yeah.
It's just so good. And Puppet was another one that was really good. That Kanye West feature was awesome.
It's a great album, bro.
I love I love the
12
whole thing.
tracks, very simple, nothing crazy, no more than 15. I love it.
And
That's
it's
perfect.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
It's such an easy listen.
It is. But it just kind of keeps you in the mood to just continue to listen
Just
over and over
kind of
again.
go back and listen to it again.
Yeah, exactly. And so, man, I think we definitely touched just our thoughts about the album. And so everybody else, just let us know, like, what are your thoughts? Did you love it? Did you hate it? You think it's trash? You think it's fire? Just let us know, because we want to definitely just see your point of view about the album. And so we have plenty more reviews coming up, different episodes coming up, and we appreciate all the love and support. We promise to not be absent, but you never know what happens. But we're going to always have content ready for you guys. We're not going anywhere. And so with Choppin It Up podcast, man, we are out.
We are out.
Peace.
Peace.